Hi, everybody. Today is 1,423 days since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss, on the Fort Bliss footprint. Fort Bliss is huge, y'all. Um, and we don't have his body. And how does that happen? How does that happen? And everyone that is a veteran, everyone that's military, absolutely. Anyone that's in emergency services, the director of emergency services, any kind of commanding officer, anybody that's a gate guard, anybody in that uh, security business says, wait a minute, that can't happen, right? That a soldier is murdered on the Fort Bliss footprint, and where's the body? Where's the body? Well, we know from testimony, and I have my hat, right? I have my hat that I wear. Let's see if I can get that close. That absolutely there's been, and that's just one of them. Nadal Baim is just one of the testimonies. That there has been testimonies that Richard's remains have been found. And the Hondo Pass video that we put up was really attacked and was taken down. And so that was interesting. Why would they do that? It's always interesting what the organized retaliatory group attacks, right? It's very indicative of what they're afraid of. And this has been an organized psyop from the beginning. And in order to do this kind of organized psyop from this group that is in El Paso, that makes money illegally, they absolutely make money illegally because their deeds, you know them by their fruit, right, are vile, vulgar, and what they do is they lie. They manufacture witnesses. They tamper with evidence. They manufacture evidence. They're constantly tampering, and also with timestamps, which is a real big no-no, even with documents. And I believe that they tamper because of Mario Raskin Ortiz's position and all of this, and him being connected to all of these people, and him being illegally in this country and being unqualified for his position as the El Paso Chief Medical Examiner, that they are tampering with bodies, that they're tampering with the records of people that are deceased, because they'll tamper with anything, right? They'll tamper with the election. They absolutely tampered with the election of Yvonne Rosales. And I don't understand why she hasn't come forward yet. I don't understand. Because whatever she's afraid of or whatever, it is nothing. It is nothing compared to what they have done. What they have done with tampering with her election, with her team, with the cases that she was looking into, being the distribution of the Walmart mass shooting victims funds, that most of all of those funds were given to the El Paso Foundation, the Community Foundation, El Paso Community Foundation, to distribute. And there's some that's very stinky going on in the distribution of the Walmart victims funds by El Paso Community Foundation. And, it what has happened since, um, because right after she opened up a case, like 2 days later, they petitioned to remove her. So what has happened since then, and the removal of Yvonne Rosales, and these lawyers and law firms that are up to no good. Um, what has happened since then, what we've discovered, is the open records shows that the actions of Bill Hicks, the actions of Bob Moore, the actions of um, Justin Underwood, the actions of John Briggs, the actions of the office right now, um, and so many other things going on with El Paso Matters, uh, absolutely show that El Paso Community Foundation has something really stinky going on, and it looks like that they are not working for the benefit of the community. That they, might have all this perception of, benevolence and goodness and everything, but none of it. But none of it. And, um, so many in this group, in this PSYOP group, will, the way they reach out to you at the beginning is like, oh, we want to help you. Oh, we're on your side. Um, it's kind of like Josh Lyons. I'm your CAO. I'm here for you. I'm here to work for the family. And then he's working against us. And we we exposed it. We caught him with his hands in the cookie jar, right? And it's so heartbreaking because you see the level of deception. And, so where is this major organizing deception going on that can, and I should really go on Facebook to make sure everyone can hear me. Oh, good, good, good. Okay. So, and I really should, there's so much going on that I really should have started this live stream 1,423 days since Richard was murdered. Um, and we still don't have his remains. I should have said Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And, I don't want to forget that because, of course, Richard has the most amazing father. I'm so fortunate to have an amazing father myself. And, of course, my father-in-law was also an amazing father. We're so fortunate with our grandfathers and our fathers. And, of course, with my husband, the father of our children, just absolutely a patriot, a patriot. And you saw what our son Robert made him with the William Wallace, the Braveheart, um, which just was just great, was really great, because he has witnessed what we have had to go through these 4 years, and it is a mental battle, to first just stick up for Richard, right? To uncover the PSYOP against Richard, the smear campaign against Richard, and then it became a smear campaign against our family when the whistleblower came forward. That really made them afraid. So, the smear campaign started at the beginning of 2023, January 2023. And, for months and months, vile and vulgar. And, now we understand because we understand the lawyers and the law firms behind this. Okay. Absolutely. Because we're starting to get connections where people are starting to tell us these connections between those that were directly sending us vile, vulgar messages and those that are connected in the office of, let's say, the DA, right? Um, who is a usurper. Because you have to remember, this is after, this is 2023, which, is also um, when Bill Hicks came in, right? When Bill Hicks came in is when the vile and vulgar messages to us, the really hard retaliation really began. Before that, it was like a psyop. Let's infiltrate, let's be a mole find Richard Halliday. Let's see what they know. Let's direct them. Different ways and mislead them and give them misinformation. And, you know, um, which delayed things. Not that we believed, but we had to take time out to to confirm or, uh, validate it. And they weren't validated. They weren't confirmed. The evidence proves that Richard was murdered, brutally murdered. And, so anytime that they tried to mislead us with something else, we would look into it. So it took time out. And of course, with the dirty agents in the CID, we had to do the investigation ourselves and bring forth and I want to explain something that's very important that came up in a chat. And it is like, who are you going to report this stuff to? Right? Who are you going to do? They're corrupt, they're this, they're that, whatever. And I'm like, okay, but look, they are there, and they are there for you to report the crimes to and the leads to. And you have to report it. You have to report it, even in this corruption. And I'll tell you a lesson. When you're up at the altar in church, and we're Anglican, right? We're Anglican, and so we have common cup. We go up to the altar and we have communion together. And every time we meet, we absolutely try to have communion together. That means every Sunday we have communion. That this is a center of our faith, is communion, is the Lord's Supper. And so when you go up there, does that Lord's Supper, is it devalued in any way if the priest that is administering it, right, if he is corrupt? Okay, if he is corrupt, does that diminish the Lord's Supper? And the answer is no, because it's a sacrament. It's an act of God. It is a gift from the Holy Spirit. It has really nothing to do. That's why, in our church we wear the vestments, and I know in the Roman Catholic Church, and in really high liturgical churches, they wear vestments. And our church does that also. We wear vestments because they're not acting as their personal being. They're acting in a role that has nothing to do with their personal being. They're administering the sacrament, a gift from the Holy Ghost. And so nothing is diminished from them. Now, is it right if they're corrupt? No, absolutely no way. But the point is that if you're in the position that we are, and we're asked to be the investigators, and we smell things that are pretty corrupt, within the CID, and we were right, right? And we told them something is wrong in the CID. It's stinky. We told it to Marlon Soto over and over again. And then, of course, a whistleblower confirmed, and we had several whistleblowers that confirmed, even a letter written to Major General Eisenhower, that confirmed that things were stinky, right? That things weren't right. In the DES and the JAG and CID there on Fort Bliss. And, and when you get that confirmation, you still have to work with CID, right? You still have to give them the leads over and over again. And here you have it, that they are corrupt. And, you might not understand how the system with all of its checks and balances work, but you still submit it. I can't tell you how many things we have submitted to Agent Howell. You just remember Veltri, she's pretty stinky. Absolutely didn't even go to El Paso, and she's supposed to be this forensic person. Didn't even go to the crime scene. I don't think that's too good of a investigator, right? But no, we still, of course, until she was taken off the case, but we still communicated with her, and she did some things that were illegal, y'all. Even with the witnesses, there's been witness tampering, there's been whistleblower tampering, So in addition to what they did to Richard, so to say Richard was retaliated against, is not unthinkable, because we have proof that we watched them. We were party to them doing just that, right? The tampering, and the tampering cannot be sustained. The corruption cannot be sustained. And this is something that everyone needs to know. The corruption, the lies, the tampering, the timestamp manipulation, it just cannot be sustained. And this article by Martin Paredes is proof of that. That you don't know who is going to come out and really make a change in all of this. You don't know who the heroes are going to be. You just do what is right. And what is right is to submit all the evidence, and it all comes together, even with a Marlon Soto, even with a Veltri, even with a Tavita Nusa, right? Tavita Nusa lost his badge, y'all. He's gone, and he's been separated from the Army, because that's showing you that we have institutional support. The fact that Tavita Nusa lost his badge and was separated from the military, the fact that Dallas Hart was separated from the military, is, a huge indication of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know. They don't tell you everything that they do, because they don't want it to really get out in the media, because they're trying to protect their brand. Recruitment is very, very low right now. They're trying to protect. They don't want to let people know, oh, we're killing our soldiers on our military installations. If you want to be killed, just become a whistleblower. If you don't like our corruption, just become a whistleblower, and we'll just kill you we'll murder you, code red, on our military installation, and then your remains will just disappear. And, and it'll take your family 4 years, almost 4 years, to get a notice of death, 4 years to get some explanation of what happened. This is 4 years of hard work, submitting evidence over and over again, and requests and open records requests, and submitting before they get it. They're not going to tell that to the public. They're not going to tell that, because they have their brand that they are protecting. And, you know, but the good news is that time is on our side, and that no matter what these lawyers and law firms that, we're getting more and more information out every day, because, a couple of years ago, and I think I even mentioned it on a live stream, I had this dream about Myrtle Street, in this case, Myrtle Avenue. But in my dream, it was like a street named Myrtle, right? And I was, because our intelligence, our sources there in El Paso said, Myrtle, a street called Myrtle, or Myrtle Avenue, is called the Street of the Dead in Spanish. The Street of the Dead. And you're like, what? Wow. Wow. And, but it was this dream. And I think God, and I've said this from the very beginning, God's hands are all over this. And he also reveals things through dreams. And I know that for a fact because of past experience in my life where he revealed things through dreams. And I think this Myrtle was part of it. I think the wearing that, in Richard's case, there's other instances for other things that happened in my life, but in Richard's case, remember I had the dream, just put on the shield when after the January 6th, and for not doing anything at January 6th, handing out candles, prayer candles, pray for my son, right? Let's pray for our son, and handing out flyers. We were banned for a month on Facebook and for giving live streams. And I had this dream that I should just wear the shield that the Army had given us for, meeting with COVID, because I didn't want to wear any kind of mask on my mouth or anything. They gave me like this shield, and I ended up putting Find Richard Halliday on the shield. And the facial recognition program could not read my facial features when I put that mask on, and it allowed me to do the live stream. So for almost a whole month, I did live streams with this shield on my face. You can go back and look at that. So, and when you see me with that shield, the reason why I did it is to thwart the facial recognition from Facebook. That was in a dream. So God's hands, his hand has been all over this. And this Myrtle Street, I believe, is key. And that was given to me a long time ago. The Avenue of the Dead. The Avenue of the Dead. Myrtle Avenue. And with that, a lot of people are coming together. The pieces of the puzzle is coming together. Their jobs are coming together, what they do. And it explains so much when I get enough, okay, because we have to have a preponderance of evidence, right? I had a source explain that preponderance of evidence is a civil case, and you just have to have like 51% for preponderance of evidence. And I'm like, well, that we have that. We have preponderance of evidence, and we're collecting more and more every day. And so with this Myrtle, this avenue of the dead, um, we're collecting more and more. And what this specific lawyer that I'm thinking of um, did is just unexcusable, because it is tampering again, tampering with witnesses, manufacturing a narrative, a false narrative, a fake narrative, and coaching a fake narrative, and just really, really evil, an evil thing for a lawyer to do. And so, and of course, with this Myrtle Avenue, other lawyers pop up, and we'll be talking about that very, very soon, because of all the confirmation. So if you know about Richard's case, if you know about the Walmart case, if you know about these corrupt lawyers and corrupt law firms, we would ask that you would reach out to us. Um, you can leave a text message. You can call 941-677-0060. And I would ask even that those that have been part of this case from from the very beginning, from before Richard was murdered, right? And during Richard's murder, and that I would say to them that they need to understand that we have beyond a reasonable doubt when it comes to a criminal case. Okay, civil case, preponderance of evil against, an unethical journalist, right? We have enough for that. But also in the murder itself of Richard, I would really, it's all coming together. And I'm not one to rush in saying things. We've been working on this for almost 4 years. And I haven't said this too many times in the past. Of course, I've been begging people to come forward. But I'm really, you know, take Danae Katzen right now. She's so exposed. She's facing terrible punishment. And, I think she was groomed, totally groomed in her life in this criminal uh, network. And she's facing terrible, she did terrible things. She's done terrible things. And you can see that, by Jonathan Ambrese's sister reaching out, she has no loyalty to Danae at all. The family has no loyalty to Danae. From my communication, they believe Jonathan's problems are because of Danae, that they are lost for what to do, because Jonathan is, in the clutches of Danae Katzen. So, to me, there, Danae doesn't have the support. I don't think she has much to lose by coming forward. I think she has a lot to gain. I think she has a lot to gain by coming forward and stopping. I don't know if she's able to do that, to stop the peddling, She's been on that bike peddling misinformation for so long. I don't know if she has the will or the ability or the discipline to stop peddling the misinformation and come clean. Um, but she's like one of the top on the list that I would think of that would do that. Because, these criminal network, they're bringing other people in on this. They don't want to go down alone, so they pull other people into this. Um, that's we're getting information of other people being pulled into this, and we've tried to alert them so that they know what's happening, right? And Martin Paredes' article in the El Paso News.org, elpasonews.org, you can go there. Um, Having that article that clearly shows the obstruction, the tampering of the criminal justice system. That's what that article really is about. Because Bob Moore is engaged in tampering with his stories, which is tampering with the criminal justice system. Because when you are the likes of El Paso Matters, when you have the money behind you, like the El Paso Community Foundation, and when your stories are the source for other newspapers to publish the stories, right? That they just copy and paste from El Paso Matters. And El Paso Matters is using unreliable sources and tampering with their stories. That is obstruction of justice, because the courts depend on articles as evidence. As evidence. And Bob Moore has botched cases. He's botching cases by having unreliable sources like Leilani Hart, who's a convicted criminal with a history of lying to law enforcement, and then to use Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, who tampers with evidence, who targeted our son's case, and Danae Katzen, who is just peddling misinformation, trying to redirect a search for a soldier. That is obstruction of justice. And he's engaged in that kind of reporting, that he doesn't report on something. Being negligent in reporting what's truly going on is also unethical. Absolutely unethical. And so, especially when the family is contacting more than 15 times, and he's just ignoring it. And, absolutely, if you're going to report on a story, you should contact the sole possessors of the latest report, right? For comment, not ignore them. So he's absolutely doing harm to the criminal justice system, the court system in El Paso, and of course, that means that he's hurting the El Paso community. And, and he's doing that with the help of a certain lawyer, law firm, yeah. And, you could say 3905 Bliss Avenue. You could say 3705 Bliss Avenue. You could say other places on Bliss Avenue seems to be a hot spot, or a cold, hellish spot. Okay, a cold spot. I don't know what they're doing with these remains, y'all. I really don't, with this funeral business stuff. Um, yeah, and it's just, it's terrible. But these, and Myrtle Avenue, um, the the Avenue of Death, the Avenue of Death of the Dead, the Avenue of the Dead. Um, yeah, something is really stinky there, and lawyers, we know, um, have coached, have plotted, have colluded, have acted unethically also, and we're still putting forth a call to come forward. This is a capital murder case. It's a brutal capital murder case. Come forward. And this is something that we have to do, is let them know how much we have. You have to read through between the lines. They know exactly what I'm saying. They can read between the lines, and they need to come forward. Um, yeah, because it's going to happen. Time is on our side, and it's absolutely going to happen. So, thank you so much, everybody. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to ask. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. I see you with your prayers and your love, and just wish your husband a happy Father's Day. Um, really special day. I bought Rob an orchid. He likes orchids. It's a beautiful orchid. I have to take a picture of it. It's kind of like a yellowish color with some kind of like purple, like maroon in the center of it. It's really beautiful. He loves orchids. So, yeah, we just wish everybody a very happy Father's Day. It's so difficult to be a father today. You get so retaliated against. And so, Rob's been working very, very hard behind the scenes, very hard. He takes such good care of us. And, just staying very calm through all of this, which is so, so difficult when you find out your son is brutally murdered, and you're having to collect all the evidence and submit it, and have to every night be the reporter for it and everything like that. Yeah, but he stays very calm, very supportive, because he's a man of great faith, and he knows that time is on our side. He knows that the stars in their course fought against Sisera. It's just a matter of time, that everything aligns up, and it is. And like, I don't have to ask myself, um, who lived on Zion. I know who lived on Zion, right? Um, and what's going on Myrtle. Um, yeah, we know what's going on Myrtle. Um, what's on Bliss? We know what's going on Bliss. And so, yeah, things are absolutely coming together. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for sharing. It's so important to share, share, share. And please do not give up yet. Okay, we're going in for the home stretch, I guess you want to call it. We want Richard's remains. We want accountability, and we're getting very, very close. So this means we need to double up. We need to really put out the information, And and that's very, very important to drive even the most corrupt to do the right thing. Okay? They have to be driven to do the right thing. So that's why you're watching. That's why you're sharing, liking. We had about 50,000 connections last month, which was huge. And I think this is going to be even bigger. And so, it might not be in the millions or whatever, like some of these big, but we're being shadow banned. That is amazing for being shadow banned. And the word is getting out. And so it's just being patient and being very, very grateful, being very grateful to everybody who has supported us, and asking them humbly to continue and to share, like, and comment. Thank you so much. God bless you. Happy Father's Day, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.